This is a DMT trip report by Snoe, posted to Erowid.org on January 14, 2014. I have written this report first for a small group of friends who have shared many nights with me. Now I am sending it to a wider audience because I feel that the experience I had deserves to be recorded in detail. The phrase, exhaling into the universe, is not a metaphor for me. I meant it literally. I felt as if my mind, my soul, and even my body were being pushed outward, spreading through everything that exists. My first breakthrough with DMT happened after I had already taken the chemical many times. I had a gram of crystalline DMT in my possession. Over the months that followed, I used it in what I called microdoses. By microdose, I meant that each inhalation contained just enough material to lay a thin veil of the chemical's energy over my senses. The veil lasted from 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes a little longer. A full dose, the kind that most people call a spice trip, lasts about 10 minutes from the moment the vapor reaches the lungs until the vision fades. When we microdosed together, the room would fill with moving patterns. The walls seemed to breathe, colors swirled like oil on water, and shapes grew and shrank in a rhythm that matched the music we played. The feeling was one of deep peace. It was as if the universe had taken a gentle hand and steadied the chaos that usually lives in my head. In those moments, I felt a connection to the people around me that was stronger than any conversation we could have while sober. Doing this alone eventually grew stale. I could watch the walls melt into fractal designs, but I did not feel any emotional response. I was indifferent. The visuals were there, but they did not move me. I wanted the magic back. I wanted a true breakthrough, the kind that would take me beyond the ordinary layers of perception. I still had a small amount of the gram left, and I decided to use it one last time. I wanted to finish the supply, but more importantly, I wanted to give my friends a chance to see what the substance can do when it is taken in a safe, supportive environment. The night of the breakthrough began at 3 in the morning. 4 friends gathered in my living room. All of them had only ever smoked cannabis before. They were nervous because they knew that DMT is far stronger than any plant that they had used. I chose to start with microdoses for everyone, hoping that the gentle approach would keep the fear at bay. The room was dark except for a large orange lava lamp that sat in the middle of the floor. Its slow, pulsing glow gave the space a warm, amber hue. 2 couches were pushed together to form a circle. A nature soundtrack played softly in the background, the sound of rain and distant birds. The atmosphere felt calm, almost like a quiet forest at night. 2 of my friends took the first few hits and smiled. Their eyes widened as the colors blossomed, but they did not panic. They described the experience as beautiful and under control. The third friend seemed to feel nothing at all. He inhaled, held his breath, and then exhaled without showing any sign of the visual shift that the others described. I suspect that fear created a mental block for him. He tried to refuse another hit, then later took another, then refused again. He was clearly uncomfortable, but I did not push him. The fourth friend, the most enthusiastic of the group, begged for more. He heard the others talk about the patterns and the sense of peace, and he wanted to feel the same. He took several more microdoses, and his face changed. He began to cry, his shoulders shaking as if something deep inside him was being released. He did not explain what he saw, but he said he was okay. I could see that he was processing something intense. After the microdose round had gone around a second time, I prepared the final heavy hit. The pipe had already been lit twice before by the other participants, but the remaining resin was still potent. I took a deep breath, filled my lungs, and held the vapor inside for as long as I could. My chest felt tight. The air seemed to press against my ribs, but I did not think about exhaling. My body began to tingle. A low vibration rose from my core and spread outward. It felt as if a wind was moving through me, pulling at my skin, at my thoughts. Then the sensation changed. It was no longer a feeling inside my body. It was a force that seemed to lift me out of my physical form. Someone in the room asked, "Did you break through?" I laughed a little, as if the question were absurd, and then I asked myself, did I break through? The answer was not a word, but a clear internal certainty. I felt a deep acceptance that I was moving beyond the ordinary. The room around me dissolved. I was no longer in the living room with my friends. There were no eyes open, no eyes closed. There was simply a void. In that void I saw a space that looked like an infinitely tall hall. The floor and the walls were a black and white checker pattern that stretched forever. In the middle of the pattern stood a creature that looked like a reptile. It had a long tail, large eyes that seemed to glow, and a smile that was both mischievous and inviting. Its skin blended almost perfectly with the checkerboard, as if it were a part of the pattern itself. The creature stared directly at me. I cannot say whether it was the creature that asked the question, or whether the question came from within me, but a voice, not a sound, asked, "Are you happy? Are you happy now?" I felt a wave of relief and answered, "Yes, I am happy." I meant it. I have always wanted to be happy, and I have always tried to be a happy person for the people around me. Saying those words felt like a key turning in a lock. I looked down the checkerboard path. My breath, which I realized was not a normal breath, filled the space. It was deep, clean, and seemed to come from a place beyond my lungs. It was as if the universe itself was breathing through me. With each inhalation I felt a sense of expansion, as if my being was merging with the surrounding emptiness. With each exhalation I felt a release, as if I were pushing something out into the infinite. The exhalation felt powerful enough to move planets. It was a sound that I could not describe, a hum that resonated through everything. Fear rose quickly after the initial awe. I realized that I had no control over what was happening. I was not the one deciding where I would go or what I would see. That loss of control made my heart race. I tried to pull myself back to my body, to the couch, to the friends who were watching me. I managed to stand, but the floor beneath my feet was gone. There was nothing below me, nothing above me, no walls. I was floating in a dark space that seemed to contain all dimensions at once. I felt as if I were at the center of everything. In that space, I took a breath that was not limited by a diaphragm. It filled me completely, clearing any sense of physical limitation. It felt like a divine breath, even though I do not believe in a deity. It was a breath that seemed to cleanse every part of my being. When I exhaled, the breath traveled outward, touching the edges of the void, echoing forever. The sound of that exhalation was mechanical, like a machine, yet it was also alive. Each breath reminded me of how small I am in the vastness, and each breath reminded me of how connected I am to everything. I stayed in that state for what felt like an eternity, though in reality only a few minutes had passed. My mind raced, thoughts flickering like fireflies. I felt an overwhelming happiness, a joy that surpassed any drug experience I have ever had. Tears streamed down my face. I clutched at my own body, as if trying to hold onto something solid. I felt reborn, as if I had been given a new perspective on what it means to be alive. When I finally returned to the room, the lava lamp still glowed, the rain sound still played, and my friends were there, eyes wide, some with tears, some with smiles. I sat down on the couch, my heart still pounding, my body covered in sweat. The carpet seemed to move with patterns that matched the images I had just seen. I tried to describe what I had experienced, but words fell short. I apologized to my friends for putting them through something so intense. I also thanked them for staying present, for watching me, for not running away. The night ended at 7:30 in the morning. A roommate and I shared the last bit of resin left in the pipe, using it as a gentle finish. We talked about the experience, about existence, about how everything is linked. The conversation felt deep, but it was also simple. We spoke of the breath, of the feeling of being part of something larger, of the importance of staying humble when faced with such power. Since that night, I have not taken DMT again. The breakthrough changed my relationship with the substance. It is not something I will use for fun. It is a tool that demands respect, preparation, and a clear intention. The vision of the checkerboard hall, the reptilian creature, the endless breath, all remain vivid in my mind. When I think about them, I feel both awe and a quiet sadness, because the experience is beyond what language can capture. I hope that anyone who reads this can understand at least a fraction of what I felt. I believe that most people should have the chance to see a glimpse of this reality at least once. It is a scary thing, and it is not something one would repeat lightly. I am grateful for having lived it, and I would not trade it for anything. I send love, peace, unity, and respect to all who read this. peace, love, unity, respect, PLUR,